Hello everyone, and welcome to the Thames Region Ecological Association video series on composting. Today we're going to be talking to Jessie Robertson, who is a London resident who does composting in her backyard and is offered to help share some ideas on how we can get started with composting as well. So welcome, Jessie. Can you tell us a little bit about what was going on when you chose to compost, when that was? And
since I was little, we composted at my house when I was growing up, and so when I've lived in an apartment, I've done vermicomposting. Every time I've had access to a yard, I set up outdoor composting systems. So I've been in this house for 3 years, and so we set up this system when I moved here.
Great. So who's in the house right now?
We've got me, my husband, and a 3-year-old, and 3 dogs and a cat, but they don't they don't produce compost, really, meat scraps that we can't compost.
So a lot of the food waste that's coming out of the houses is like kitchen food scraps.
Yeah, and we're vegetarian, so we produce we have quite a bit of food waste, peelings and that kind of stuff. And we do a fair bit of gardening as well. So tomato stalks and leftovers from that get thrown in the compost as well.
How do you collect the compost in your kitchen?
We have this is the bucket system that I use. It's just thought it was kind of pretty, so it would, I wouldn't mind having it on my counter.
Okay.
That gets filled up every couple days, so I wanted something that was big enough that I didn't have to empty it daily. So those little ones just don't cut it for our house. So
okay. So how did you choose this compost system and the location for it?
Because we have a pretty substantial sized yard, I wanted a big system. We do very low maintenance composting. We only flip the pile once every 6 months, sort of. So we needed a fair amount of space to be able to just hold the capacity. It's kind of tucked away from the house a bit, so it's not as visible. It's just reusing old pallets, so they're not that aesthetically pleasing. So kind of tucking them away was part of the idea. And then it's a 3-bay system, so we start filling up 1 bay, and then we're only using 2 at the moment. You can do it with 2. So you start filling up 1 bay when it's full, flip it into the next bay and let it sit, and then you start filling that first one. And then by the time you fill that first one again, the next one will be ready to harvest. You could do 2 flips and then harvest it after that.
So all of your food waste from the kitchen would go in here, as well as your garden waste.
Yep.
And yard.
And then and leaves, yard waste. We collect like leaves from up and down the block from all the neighbors. So it's really important when you're composting to layer green matter and brown matter. So the green matter is our kitchen scraps and green grass clippings and green garden waste, like stuff that hasn't dried yet. And then you want to layer that with dried leaves, dried grass clippings, straw, if you don't have access to leaves for some reason. That's really important to keep smell down and keep the decomposition process happening. Sometimes people just continue to put their food scraps in, and that's when you get like a mushy, smelly mess and it takes longer to break down too.
How did you choose a location for your composter?
Well, we needed, because it's a pretty big system, we wanted it to be kind of, and it's not the most elegant looking since it's just built with used pallets. So we kind of wanted it in the back of the yard a bit. It's nice to have it close to the house, so you're more likely to use it in the winter. But we're outside all winter long, so if you're a person who doesn't like the cold in winter, I'd suggest having it somewhere closer to the kitchen, so you'll actually continue to use it.
Okay. So do you have to pay attention to the shade or anything when you're thinking about placement?
No. You do, like, if you're trying to do a faster system, you want to make sure that the moisture levels stay up. So, you might want to, you could cover it to keep, and then you could, some people actually will water it if it's not moist enough. But we don't, ours is very low maintenance, so we just dump it in.
Okay. And so the amount of sunlight that you have in the backyard doesn't matter to where you place it, because you can work around those with nets and the different covers for it?
Yeah, but the sun is not going to make it decompose any slower or faster. The compost generates a lot of heat on its own, just from all the bacteria eating and multiplying and dying, and so there's a lot of heat that's generated from a compost, and you don't need any additional heat. Some people actually harvest the heat from their compost pile.
That's another addition.
Yeah.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about your compost system and how it works?
Sure. So we have a 3-bay system. It's built out of old pallets, and then the front, you can just take these boards off, and when you need to empty one. So we have, with a 3-bay system, you can start filling up the one, and then when that's full, dump it into the next bin, and then when that's full, empty into the last bay. So our piles get flipped twice, essentially. At the moment, we're really just using 2 and one's for storage. So it just gets flipped once, essentially. And then it's over a year before we actually are harvesting that last bay.